The sky had cracked open long before they arrived. Rain pounded against the windows of the remote Kim estate like the world itself wanted to be heard. The wind howled like a warning, shaking the branches of old trees that lined the path outside. Jungkook shivered as he stepped inside, soaked and breathless. They said the roads are flooded, the driver informed them. No return until morning. Taehyung's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Just great. One night. One mansion. Just the two of them. The staff had already left hours before they arrived. The fireplace crackled weakly in the old drawing room, and Jungkook sat wrapped in a blanket on the couch while Taehyung poured them both tea. Silence. Always silence between them. Until, "Why did you really marry me?" Jungkook asked, voice barely a whisper. Taehyung stilled. The teacup froze midair. "Don't say it's because of the contract. I know that part." A pause. "Then, because if I didn't," Taehyung said slowly, "someone else would have used you." Jungkook's brows furrowed. "Use me? Your family is powerful, Jungkook. You're more valuable than you know. Marrying you meant keeping you safe, even if you never understood why. That wasn't what Jungkook expected." "So you were protecting me?" Taehyung scoffed lightly. "No. I don't protect people. I control them." But his voice wavered. And Jungkook saw it, the truth behind the mask. He stood, walking over to him, stopping just in front of the fireplace. "If that were true," Jungkook whispered, "you wouldn't have looked so scared the night I saw you crying." Taehyung flinched, just a little. "I wasn't crying." "Fine. You weren't. But you were breaking." The thunder roared outside. Inside, Taehyung didn't move. So Jungkook did. He stepped closer. Close enough to feel the heat of him. Close enough to hear his breath catch. He reached up, gently brushing Taehyung's damp hair out of his eyes. "You act like you don't feel anything," Jungkook whispered, "but your silence screams the loudest." Taehyung didn't pull away. Didn't shut him down. Didn't run. Instead, his hand reached up slowly, hesitantly, and cut Jungkook's jaw. His thumb brushed over his cheek. "You're dangerous," Taehyung murmured, voice raw. "You make me forget who I am." Jungkook leaned into the touch. "Maybe it's time you become someone new." The fire flickered. And then, Taehyung kissed him. Not rough. Not possessive. Soft. Slow. Like he didn't want to break him. Like he was afraid to be real. And Jungkook kissed him back with everything he'd been holding in. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside, Taehyung finally let someone touch the part of him he thought no one would ever reach. Sunlight filtered through the tall windows, catching the dust in the air like falling stars. Taehyung stood alone in the hallway, his back pressed to the cold wall just outside the guest bedroom where Jungkook still slept. His lips still tingled. His chest still ached. He had kissed him. And worse, he had meant it. "Idiot," he muttered to himself, hands tightening at his sides. Because this wasn't what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to keep his distance. Be cold. Control the narrative. Jungkook wasn't meant to matter. He was just a shield, a strategy, a softness Taehyung wasn't allowed to reach for. But when Jungkook had whispered, "Maybe it's time you become someone new," he believed it. For a moment, he wanted to. But morning had come. Reality with it. And Taehyung knew what had to happen. Jungkook woke up to the warmth of sunlight and the coldness of an empty room. No Taehyung. No note. just the echo of a kiss he wished he could relive. He wandered through the estate, calling softly, until he found Taehyung in the drawing room, standing by the window with unreadable eyes. "You left," Jungkook said, quietly. "It was a mistake," Taehyung replied, turning just slightly. Last night, the words hit harder than Jungkook expected. "You didn't act like it was a mistake," he said, voice steadier than he felt. "That's because I'm good at pretending." A pause. Jungkook took a shaky breath, stepping forward. "You're pretending now?" Taehyung didn't answer. He just looked at him, and it was worse than shouting. Because there was so much want in that silence. So much fear behind his calm. "Taehyung," Jungkook whispered. "Why do you keep running from this?" Taehyung's voice was quiet, but sharp. "Because if I don't, I'll want more. And people like me don't get more, Jungkook. We get destroyed for wanting it." He turned away, his back a wall Jungkook couldn't get through. "Not today." Jungkook didn't argue. He didn't cry. He just quietly left the room, dignity intact, heart quietly bleeding. And somehow, that hurt more. Because Taehyung realized something terrifying. He hadn't broken Jungkook. He had broken himself. The knock on the mansion door was unexpected. Taehyung didn't like the unexpected. He opened it to find a man in a crisp black suit, sharp jawline, and a knowing smirk, the kind that had history written all over it. "I'm here for Jungkook," the man said smoothly, extending a hand. "Park Seo-jun." "Old friend." Taehyung didn't take the hand. "Jungkook's busy. He won't be when he hears I'm here." Taehyung's jaw tightened, but before he could speak again, a soft voice interrupted behind him. Seo-jun. Jungkook stood frozen at the top of the stairs, his voice light with surprise, but there was a smile too. A real one. Taehyung had never seen that kind of smile on Jungkook's face before. "Cookie," Seo-jun said, casually walking inside without an invitation. "You look good, Cookie." He called him Cookie. And Jungkook didn't correct him. Jungkook's Park Seo-jun's visit wasn't planned. Not by him. But seeing him brought back memories. Old laughter. High school confessions. A time before marriage contracts and cold husbands who kissed like they regretted it. "How did you find me?" Jungkook asked as they sat in the sunroom. "Your mother," Seo-jun said with a wink. "Still likes me, of course she does." Taehyung stood silently by the doorway, arms crossed. He hadn't said a word, but Jungkook felt his stare like heat on his skin. "I didn't know you two were married," Seo-jun said, tilting his head. "It's all over the news, though." "Strategic alliance?" Jungkook glanced at Taehyung. "Yeah, something like that." "Well," Seo-jun smirked, "if you ever get tired of cold alliances, you know I'm always warm." It was a joke. Probably. But the second he said it, Taehyung moved. Past. Controlled. Dangerous. "He's not interested," Taehyung said flatly, stepping between them. "And he's not available." "Relax," Seo-jun chuckled. "We're just talking. Find someone else to talk to." The tension was sharp, like glass underfoot. Jungkook looked up, heart thudding, because he'd never seen Taehyung like that before. Possessive. Jealous. Afraid. "Taehyung," Jungkook said gently. Taehyung didn't look at him. He just said one thing before leaving the room. "If you let him back in, don't expect me to stay." That night, the silence wasn't peaceful. It was charged. Choking. Jungkook stood outside Taehyung's door, hand raised, but he didn't knock. because for the first time, he wanted Taehyung to come to him.